The Oracle Group, Sibyl, and this implementation. I would like at this point to recognize the Acting Director Budget, Mr. Laban Imblamuko. You are most welcome. I know your plate is overflowing, and we had received your apology for the late showing due to certain pressures. We are delighted to have you. There was a complaint a while ago that our DJs are not playing commemorative, exciting music. We are celebrating, so put on the right music for celebration. I also wish to welcome and recognize the Undersecretary. I would like to recognize the Undersecretary, Accounting Officer, Ministry of Finance. You're welcome, sir. And one of our vendors, Sibyl. Sibyl are our implementing partners. You're welcome, and they supported quite a number of activities. Honorable Minister, I would like to invite the Director of Financial Management Services to come in and take us through the next part of the program. Mr. Semgoma, please.
Honorable Minister, PSST, Accountant General, Accounting Officers present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, plus our support, both local and external. I'm here to share with you our experience in terms of the re-implementation. So mine is more focused on the re-implementation, and we call this the D-Day. D-Day used to connote doomsday, but in this case, over time, the evolution, D-Day has simply come to mean the real day. So for us, this is the real day when we think we are good to go with the IFMS system. And my presentation, I'll look at some background. I will not dwell a lot into what the journey is, rationale for the implementation, what is in this new system, the achievements, challenges for the implementation, and then lessons learned as well as issues for management support. In terms of background, it's been 20 years on, and MOFPED continues to take lead in terms of system implementations. You recall that even before IFMS came into force, we had Uganda Computer Services. The whole Uganda Computer Services was resident within the Ministry of Finance, and we've continued to take lead in provision of these automated services. IFMS is integrated with many systems, and this is intended to ensure that there is seamless exchange of information and provision of service to our customers across government and across government systems. We also, through IFMS, we are able, I hope it's through IFMS, the entire process from budget management, budget execution, and financial reporting are all automated. And even the bit of budget preparation is integrated with IFMS. And many users here do this. But we also have the other value-added services, like Accountant General mentioned. You have EFT, the electronic funds transfer, the decentralization of salary payments, the e-cash, and the treasury single account. These things ride on this system. But our reflection is that from 10 pilot entities in 2003 to now 395 implementation sites, this has made government smarter. It has revolutionized both budget execution and PFM oversight. Today, Auditor General's office, if they want to audit, they don't have to even travel to missions abroad. They can also access them online. So we think that we are making government not only smarter, but also improving oversight. Why we re-implemented, AG has mentioned a few of them, but key are 4 issues. And these are the NDP3. This obviously we had to map to the program-based budgeting. We had outdated systems, and these had got to end of support. There is something called end of support. There is also something called end of life. So even the vendor is not interested in that system anymore. So you can't even find support. And then we also had a lot of data, because when we started the system, everybody had a bank account. Now, where we are, we have treasury single account. Now, all that junk, we call it junk because we no longer need those things. Nobody even refers to those bank accounts. So we had to clean all that, including users and master data, which is, the other issue is performance. Over time, data accumulates on these systems and it clogs the system. So inevitably, we also had to upgrade our infrastructure to match the growing needs of government. How did we undertake this re-implementation? Honorable Minister and members, from the onset I want to say that we only had plan A. We did not have plan B. And director budget is here. The reason was that PBS had already changed the chart of accounts, and we picked the budget from there. So there was nothing that we can go back to the old system. We only had to move forward. So as part of strategy and planning, there was no plan B. We only had to succeed, we must. So we had to look at issues of funding, and there was a lot of engagement here, issues of procurement, because we know delays are here, and yet these activities were time-bound. We had stakeholder engagement. Key of these, we normally have Ministry of ICT, we had NITAU, because we work with them closely in terms of the infrastructure, NPA, Bank of Uganda, for the payment systems. But another stakeholder who came in midway, at the beginning, was OWC. And as you will note, OWC posed a number of challenges, but which later turned out to be, I think, revealing in terms of ownership, because now it was a government-wide, everybody was interested, and then accounting officers. But the other strategy at planning was to leverage existing infrastructure. So we did not want to create new infrastructure because of the re-implementation. We also felt that as part of strategy, we should utilize in-house capacity as much as possible. And then the regional facilities. We have 12 regional centers, but we also have the districts themselves. And then we have other facilities of government that are not necessarily regional facilities, but are owned by central government. Like UICT has labs, Ministry of ICT has laboratories. Now, in terms of execution, Honorable Minister, I want at this moment to pause and inform you that this task is not Treasury and ourselves alone. Almost whoever is in this room was part of this implementation, and the success today is everyone's success. So we had work groups, and as I mentioned them, I would also request that they stand up. So we had the application implementation team, which was led by Mr. Aiden Rujumba. Please stand up. And we had the Navision implementation work group, because this one is for foreign missions, but we also had to change their systems. There's a team which is led by Ambrose, Promise Commissioner. We have the MIS group, which is led by Commissioner Davis. These are the people of infrastructure, all the technologies are here. We had a contract management work group. We have to manage these contracts. Mr. Chiinji was the head of this group. And please, the rest can stand up. We had a risk and assurance work group. And this risk and assurance work group was headed by Helen. We had a training and change management work group led by Commissioner Ojambo. And then we had a fixed asset work group. Fixed asset was a module, but it required a dedicated work group. And Mr. Chigenyi Commissioner Chigenya and team. So this is the fixed asset work group. Robert Otala, I don't see. So this is the team that delivered this, but we also had the chart of accounts. We dedicated a group also to just look at the details of this chart of accounts. And this team was led by Commissioner Ambrose. So those are the teams, and I want to thank you. But also as part of planning for execution, we were cognizant that there was COVID, so we agreed that there is no option. We have to get the vendor to start implementing remotely. Otherwise, we would not be there by June. We had also to commit to online training, and users had to get used to this. But most importantly, the issue of sequencing. These projects are very complex. If you can bring the software and the hardware is not ready. So sequencing was very important in terms of the execution of the project. And then after execution, we have the go live, which was also big bang in terms of the strategy. We didn't have an option of saying some should go on, others can come next year, because everybody needed the budget. So how does this new system look like? That machine we see on the right is a very powerful machine. Previously, what it does would be machines that fill this whole room. But they've compressed it now into something we call a V-block. It has everything: processing capacity, memory, storage, and that's what you have, state of the art, in your data center. So we upgraded the data center to enhance efficiency. We established a fully functional disaster recovery. For the first time, we can now confess that since 2003, we've been telling people we have a disaster recovery site. And I'm sure you all believed us. But, yeah, because we could not say it was too risky to tell people you don't. But what was happening is that we would just back up, but we could not connect sites to that site if there was a problem. But today, because of the enhancement, we are able to switch. If there's a problem with the data center at Treasury, we can just schedule. We can switch to the disaster recovery site. We are fully integrated with all these line services. We have enhanced security. We have enabled multi-currency. The votes here can attest. Previously, you would send money to Bank of Uganda, but then you send a document. Now you pay from IFMS straight in any currency you want. Treasury pays many unique currencies for debt. The system is fully aligned, goes to NDP3. Now, in terms of achievement, I think the biggest achievement was teamwork. This team has been exceptionally good. But specifically, Honorable Minister and PSST, I now want to state that for the first time, all government votes are on IFMS, without exception. We have also converted the treasury single accounts. We used to have a local government treasury single account, central government. All these have been collapsed into one treasury single account. This is good cash management. We have online self-registration of suppliers. People used to send manual forms for us to upload. It was not only tedious, courier, but also it was causing risk. Dan Loboa here is always attending to who created this supplier on the system. So because they submitted a form and they set it up on the system. But they are always investigating treasury stuff. So we said, no, let's put it online. Someone initiates it, another one approves. Ours, the system just auto-downloads. So we also got stuff out of this process. We've automated that. We've installed, we've talked about that. Then we also, I also want to re-echo what AG said. We can almost quantify that 80% of the re-implementation was done by GOU staff. So the 20%, very technical, we can't even touch it. That's the part that Oracle was handling for us. And then we have dashboards. The old system didn't have dashboards. And among others, we cleaned up data, and also we trained support. Now, previously, we used to offer support. Under the re-implementation, we picked 3 people per site, and we trained them. At the peak of training, we were training 900 people per day for 3 weeks. And these were support staff to help us support the system at the various votes. So even Ministry of Finance has 3 people who support. Any local government has 3 people, at least, who can support even before they escalate to us. Now, we still have challenges, of course. They are not, we had challenges in the implementation. And one key challenge is the remote upgrade mode. Now, this did not only present challenges of communication, internet is off. Of course, there are also accent issues. And the team we are dealing with, they are online. Sometimes you have to say, I beg your pardon, several times. But when you are face to face, you read the lips and you can say, okay, that's it. So we had never been in this mode, but because of COVID, we went into this mode. But there are also time zone issues. People are in different time. By the time you need, they are sleeping. So we are also operating two systems concurrently, the same team. Because the old system was continuing to process, but you're also implementing the new system, and you're the same people. Procurement delays in acquisition of equipment. We had some delays, not occasioned necessarily by PDU, but globally. You're getting these chips now, even when you order computers, it's a problem, and Sibyl is here. So even the last sites we've connected, we have problems getting routers globally. So there are delays in terms of acquiring ICT. We have complexity of government operations. Not everything can be off-shelf. You get off-shelf and start working. There's a lot of customization, and these don't come cheap, and they are not even easy. We have to pay for the customization. If we're only going for the standard functionalities, we'll just pay licenses. But now we have to pay someone to help us upgrade. Then the extreme workload on the staff. Your staff, Honorable Minister, have really gone through a very daunting period because, one, they are managing two systems, but they are re-implementing, but also have to go live. They have to go live at the same time across the country, and they are the same people. So there's been an issue of extreme workload. Then we also had to deploy the system during COVID. Training was online. We tried it, we persisted, eventually people adapted. They still complain to this day. They want classroom training. It's a long process to change the way we do business, but this slowed our implementation. We have poor telecom networks. We also have poor power infrastructure. There are places here, I've always given an example of Nakasi. The accounting officers, district. Getting connectivity there, it looks like it's just here. But the location of the district is in a place where a teleco, first of all, doesn't want to overinvest. They think maybe the spending is not that. But also, yeah, so you may find a site like that. Animovende is Mitiana. We had to connect satellite to Mitiana, imagine. It's just Mitiana here. Now, Karenga is even extreme. So these are issues that we have to contend with, but we are engaging NITAU, UCC, even electricity, also REA. Then we have the issue of aging infrastructure. We have upgraded, and their functionality we can deploy remotely from the center, so it minimizes cost. But because some sites don't have the right equipment and computers, we still have to go to those sites, which makes it very costly for us. In terms of lessons learned, we have learned, PSST doesn't want to use the word silver bullet, but for us we think in-house skilling is a silver bullet to system sustainability. The moment you have in-house skills, you are as good as done. Then early engagement of all relevant stakeholders to minimize disruption. There was an issue of OWC here. OWC intervened, but we embraced them. We didn't chase them away. So we engaged them. Ultimately, they were our champions. They started speaking for the project. And even this speaks to the other accounting officers. Whereas you can be very effective in planning, you cannot anticipate things like COVID. You cannot anticipate. Right now we have an issue. Ebola is here. Yesterday I received mail from Oracle Consulting Services. They are demobilizing their staff. They are leaving the country on 28th, which is today, tomorrow. They are all demobilizing because of their SOP. So these are things you cannot anticipate, and they disrupt the implementation. So we can plan, but we cannot be as, you can't get everything right. We have to get used to technology. It takes time. So sometimes there are glitches, sometimes they are slow, especially in the first period. Like now, I'm sure accounting officers must be complaining. There's been a lot of discomfort from Friday last week to yesterday. And the problem was that you deploy something which is completely unrelated to the system. They've been working normally, then you deploy what they think is a solution. When they deploy, it destabilizes other components, or it clogs the resources. And then you have to first roll it back. And hopefully by the weekend, that should be gone. But also staying focused is very important in terms of these projects. People get fatigued and they need to be, kept in one direction. Now, what we have pending, we have the asset management. We are still, this is one of the issues, and when we deploy some of these things, we have issues. But we are completing this. We have issues to do with these funds, which are outside the consolidated fund. We have to profile equipment at all sites, local governments, which is aging, 20-year-old equipment. We have to fully migrate and operationalize the disaster recovery site. I said we have implemented it. The equipment is still at Treasury, but it's working. So we have to move it to Ginger. Auditor General had asked us to do this after audit, because after the audit, then we can move, because the old information is on the old equipment. So this, by end of next month or December, we should be done with that. But most importantly, PSST and the Honorable Minister, I think the issue of reviewing staff structures, levels to adapt to the workload is very important. We may not blind ourselves to the fact that, oh, this team has been working. Then what has changed? A lot of workload has shifted to Treasury. Technology is so enhanced. Work is complex. And when it gets very complex, and of course that's when people start comparing the load to the pay. When it's light, people may not actually complain that much. So we think that it's some conversation. It may not be only Treasury, but everyone probably. We have to do the issue of system tuning. You've been working normally from July to around September towards the end. Then we started getting intermittence because we are deploying new fixed asset issues and also a few things in terms of tuning. So that tuning is still going on. Hopefully in the next 2 weeks we should be clear. We have hardened in terms of security. We have a network operating center. We should be able to know which site has gone off. This is again, funding was provided, equipment was bought, implementation is going on. So at Treasury now we can proactively know which site is off. By end of next month, we should be able to do this. And then the issue of in-house skills support. When systems change, people have to be trained. When they leave, we start the process again. We think that we should choose the training and retention. Now, in terms of matters for management, yes, I've raised the issue of structures. Maintaining financing is very important to ensure that we have a secure and efficient system. Capacity building is very important for sustainability. When we reflect on our journey, I think we look at 3 points which we think have helped us to get here. The first one being top management support. It has always been there, and I want to report to the members that I think we have support now more than ever before. PSST has always mentioned that, no, I gave you all the money, what is the problem? So already the challenge is with us to deliver quality systems. The second issue is leadership. Our boss here and his predecessor, in terms of ruthlessness to delivery of results, I think they are unequaled. And then the third one is the can-do attitude. People have challenged themselves at Treasury to do things which we thought couldn't be done. Even Oracle is online. There are things which sometimes they would say, no, then we say, no, they can be done. And some of them we even challenge ourselves and do them before we ask the consultants to do it. So, and this has brought us far. That's why we adventured into uncharted waters. We went into automation of public universities. It started with us. We went into automation of foreign missions, and it started from here. And recently, the automation of public procurement. And it's because of those 3 factors as far as we are concerned. So, also another reflection is that in 2007, the East African community made a pronouncement that everyone should introduce check capping. So they said 20 million, no more payments beyond 20 million by check. And now the capping was even lowered. What we did then for us was to say, why do we even cap? Let's put all the payments online. And we took everybody by surprise. Kenya took about 5 years, Tanzania about 7 years. Some are still doing capping. So we think that we've challenged ourselves. And as we move on, this is also a story to tell, really. When we set out to re-implement systems, like this one, nobody knew what to anticipate or the challenges we would face. For the first time, we had a lot of scrutiny. I don't know whether that was the time PSST was coming in. So OWC was so engaged, they wanted to review the system. NPA was so engaged, why are you doing? Minister of ICT, even Auditor General. But many of them even challenged why we are re-implementing instead of just tuning. We even got an external partner, a development partner, who wrote a report to PSST and said, no, that system just requires tuning. Very simple tuning, and we can give you the people to do it. So it was as simplified as that. And I'm saying that obviously Accountant General's office would have preferred the simple way, but we chose to do things the right way, not the simple way. The planning for this re-implementation was intense and extensively consultative, but execution was even more involving. Drawing from experience of previous implementation, we did not work under any illusion that this would be a simple implementation. There is no way you can have a system like this and you think that we stood for quite before the so we anticipated that there are challenges and it's not a simple undertaking. So over the last 2 days, what we've been doing is to review what went well, what didn't go well, what lessons did we learn. But PSST, I wish some of you were in this room to listen to the inspiring stories. What people had to go, the lengths they had to go to deliver their particular bits. And it was even more gratifying to see how people deliver without caring who takes the credit. I think it was a very commendable job. In terms of criticality of IFMS, we often have to explain the importance of systems, especially during budget preparation. And I'm sure we are about to start. While mindful of the need to rationalize resources, it's our prayer that IFMS is not evaluated by how much we spend on the system, but rather how much time and funds are saved by the system. It is not merely a technology system. Like AJ said, it is a business system delivering efficiency and accountability to citizens. So if we simply monetize its benefits and challenge its cost, sometimes we miss the big picture. Matia, you want to help me there? And these are the problems with technology. These are the glitches accounting officers are having now. There could be user issues. Matia, are you continuing to project? Now, I was saying that for budget purposes, I'll proceed. For budget purposes, everything is important. But for a moment, I want us to imagine, and the accounting officers here, Mr. Seremba is here, and others, Mr. Segmons is here, doctor, and CFOs. For a moment, let's imagine that IFMS is off for 3 days. Totally off. Extend it by a week. It will be on the floor of Parliament. And it's not exaggeration, but there will be paralysis. So it's the criticality. It is therefore our prayer that when we are dealing with budgets of these systems, let's provide the resources so that we can provide good service. What is our mission? Honorable Minister and PSST, Our mission is to deliver a simple, secure, reliable, efficient, and integrated system that provides good user experience and ultimately facilitates service delivery to the people of Uganda. If this system is not secure, if it is on and off, if it is slow, if we have multiple fragmented, siloed systems, then we have failed as a ministry. And conclusively, I want to say that our experience has been varied. We have had good and challenging times, but like Mandela says, it is in the character of growth that we should learn from both pleasant and unpleasant experiences. And for us, whatever we've picked, whatever challenges we faced, they're just lessons learned. For the staff who have been stressed, I don't know whether we should apologize, but we can only say thank you. Thank you for the work. Thank you for the delivery. We still have a long way to go. It's not over. This is not the end. We are moving on to the remaining bits, but we are also working on the issues of tuning. For the votes that are here, hopefully by Monday, because it meant putting down the system during the week. So we said we'd rather have a slow system than having total shutdown. In any case, people were actually paying, but it was just slow. So we said, let's leave it. But over the weekend, we are going to do some overhaul of some activity, and hopefully you should have better experience. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Director, for that extremely inspiring delivery. Let's appreciate Director once again. We've come a long way, and for sure that is music to the ears of all reformers. Shaka, are you in the house? Isaac? Yes, please edit that bit about the disaster recovery, which the director made. You know, Shaka handles our Twitter page. And how about the rest of us? How many are on Twitter? By show of hands. Honorable Minister, you are in trouble. Just look back over there. Everybody should get on Twitter. It's a free service. Just make sure you follow the right people and you tweet the right things. Our PS is an avid user, not just for the Premier League, but he gives quite a number of topical updates on the economy. And in case you've missed trends in what is happening on the economic side, you're really missing a lot. The Honorable Minister also has a handle there, and there are regular updates which should be exciting. And he's updating right now, so just make use of the Wi-Fi and make sure you really get into the thing. So, Honorable Minister, proceed with Oracle Consulting Services. That have been our partners for a long time. We've been together in thick and thin. Is it thin? No. Thick and thin, not the other one. Yeah, so are they online? Yeah, sure. So Oracle is coming on to share their experience. I'll request that we use the next 10 minutes to listen in. They will introduce themselves and get us on board. Oracle, you're welcome to make your delivery.
Thank you, Paulo. Commissioner Lawrence, Godfrey, Evan, and Minister of Finance team, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, thank you for inviting us to sharing this, our experience of their implementation. So allow me to introduce myself. My name is Nelly Chung. I'm the project director on this re-implementation project. I've been with Oracle for 22 years and I've had the privilege of being part of the IFMS journey from its very start, which is a proposal preparation in 2002. With me on this GOU IFMS project is our Oracle management team, which I'd like to introduce. So Sri Kaluri, the Senior Director of the Sub-Sahara Cluster, who is our authorized signatory on this project. So maybe Sri can put on his video to introduce himself. Vijay Gulapalli, apps director, who was our project sponsor. Srinivasan Saragampani, who was our offshore project manager, escalating product issues that was getting too long to fix. Ramesh Venkatachari, who guided us on the resource planning and with his experience guided a resource on how to approach the solution. Nassim Hafiz, who joined the project in January of this year and was very instrumental to getting the project organized and the project team focused on the 1st of July delivery. Having said that, no project can be executed without a team of consultants on the delivery side. So since we started the project in COVID condition where travel was not possible, most of the project was delivered from a remote site. So allow me to show you the faces of the team who has been interacting. The topmost line of row of consultant has been on site once the restriction was removed, and except maybe for Patricia, the others has been mostly interacting from offshore. Right. And since this was a project that was in two phases, there was resources who were involved in the first phase and who was no longer here with us, but still was very contributed to making this project happen. We have tried to bring in people of experience on IFMS project to this project, and that was two consultants who has done government implementation before. Unfortunately, one did not. 2 weeks after we started in July, got sick with COVID, got critically sick with COVID, and could not join back the project. But we were able to leverage on the experience of Minister of Finance team, and through this collaboration, this team you're seeing here was able to deliver the project. So let me tell you a bit more about the project and the solution that was delivered. As Lawrence highlighted, this journey started in 2003 with just 10 pilot sites. Here we were asked to go big bang, go live on 1st of July of this year with 300 government entities. For us, since it was not just an upgrade but a re-implementation, that means we have to retest every single parts of it, and with it also whatever enhancement that the government of Uganda was requesting. So for us, we had to split the project into phases, one focusing on the solution itself, and then doing the rollout of a project. So we had even though it was a big bang on 1st of July, we focused on the solution and get it ready in Feb of this year with 51 entities from the government. From then on, we just deploy it to the other entities. Unfortunately, fixed asset being dependent on huge amount of data that need to be prepared and cleansed. So fixed asset is still going on, and we hope to put it before end of this year in production. So right now, where we are right now, we are in post-production support. And we believe we have achieved the objective of taking you to your new solution on the 1st of July. So what did this re-implementation brings in terms of business impact? We believe that first and foremost, that re-implementation was needed, as Lawrence mentioned earlier, because you had a new chart of account, right? So the high impact part of this project is based on a better structured and clean chart of account with a full accrual basis of accounting. We also enhance your budget execution allocation process so that each new financial year, it makes it easier to define your new budget allocation types and numbering. We also provide you with the necessary management report so that you can monitor the budget allocation at each approval stage. So I think this is the major plus that we brought to the solution in this re-implementation. On the purchasing side, there was quite a number of enhancements, but the major one is related to providing the possibility to refund the reservation for expenses that are related to your employee advances and prepayment. But most of the enhancement would lie in the process that has been is highly used across all of the entities, and that is the payment and cash management. We streamlined the rule definition for invoice approval so that it was easier to maintain and also to have a consistency checking across all entities, whether the rules are maintained similarly across. As Godfrey mentioned, we also had a standardized foreign currency invoice processing in place, and we streamlined the payment and bank transfer and bank reconciliation from your treasury single account, along with whatever business process realignment you guys were doing on your side. We also realigned the processing of your donor-funded project within the sponsor vote so that it's easier to get a view of the vote itself across donor-funded project and the non-donor-funded projects. We are also in the process of finalizing the standardized bank charges and bank reconciliation processing across bank, and that is also dependent on the Bank of Uganda interface. As we mentioned earlier, fixed asset is still ongoing, and we are hoping that we are able to deploy and put in production all the remaining entities that has not provided their historical data yet on the system. So these are the high impact business parts that we think we have built in this re-implementation. Going forward, we believe that with this re-implementation, it allows you to grow in other areas. And those are just bits and pieces of where you can grow. For example, in terms of the asset tracking, the maintenance of your vehicles, buildings, roads, the employees' expenses, for I expenses, and most importantly, for hospital, maybe to track their stock with a full-fledged inventory management implementation, for which we already provided the core configuration. In terms of human capital management, I think there's also the possibilities for you to go on recruitment, managing your talent, and your succession planning. So those are the areas where, with this implementation, we think that you have built a foundation to go further into looking at, improving, automating your other business processes. So allow me to congratulate each and every one of you on this go live. As Lawrence and Godfrey mentioned, this project is not possible without this close collaboration between the GOU team among themselves, right, and with our team, Oracle Consulting. And as I mentioned earlier, it was a 2-decade long, which started in 2002, where we were brought into the picture for your key critical parts, the pilot implementation, the first rollout of the pilot in 2004 and 5, right? Your auto upgrade in 2013, right? And this re-implementation. So we thank you, Government of Uganda, Minister of Finance, for this 2-decade-long collaboration and look forward to many more years. Thank you also to taking care of our consultant on site, which makes coming on site, working on site together with your team a very pleasant experience. And then I would like to thanks our management team for supporting this re-implementation. So I don't know if Sri would like to say a few words. Sri?
Nelly, we are a bit time constrained, so permit that we stop at that submission. I'd like to thank you so much for the partnership, which has been extremely constructive over the period. Thank you so much. And I don't know, is it afternoon, morning, midnight where you are?
This is afternoon only. I'm just 1 hour ahead.
Okay.
In Mauritius.
Yeah, thank you so much. We often work across time zones with Oracle, and it is wonderful that we can, up to this point, talk of a very supportive partnership. Thank you very much, Nelly. I will now invite Sibyl, who are our other implementation partners. Sibyl is represented by Adrian Arizera, Director, Technical Services, and they have been responsible for delivery of significant infrastructure as far as this upgrade is concerned. Adrian, please come in. You have 5 minutes to tell your story.
Thank you, Tim. I call Minister of Finance team because we have worked together closely for quite many years. I have a small presentation, though the moderator said 5 minutes, but we allocated 15 minutes. And for RPO time, we'll maintain the SLA in that mode, but we shall keep to, indeed. Yes, I bring greetings from Mr. Neil Kruvila, who is our chairman, and Mr. Shibu, the group CEO, who were supposed to be here, but somehow in the last minute, actually yesterday, they told me they are not able to make it, so they transferred the mantle to me, and then Mr. Vijay, the CEO as well. Now, as I start, I think he's supposed to present something, but we have been with Minister of Finance since 2007. Our engagement with the MOFPED, especially on the IFMS side, started way long back. We have supported the system for quite, I think you have, yeah. We have supported the system both from thin when it was complicated on HPUX with the cake systems, and we limped with it, at least from the user point, what us in the kitchen, how we are suffering with looking for low firewood to make sure that you get a system ready for you to use. It's on and on by the AG and Mr. Semugoma and the team who are usually involved in it. But by and by, we do data center support and all the technical support for all the sites. And we as well try to make sure that the system, that's our main mandate, to make sure the system is up all the time. Uptime is our key mandate. Where there are issues, we are called in, whether they are responsible to us, we escalate them to Oracle or to HP or to Dell, where it was. But we try to make sure that we bridge that gap with the vendor. And that's our mandate in this system, in Ministry of Finance. Now, going by, as I mentioned, we have had there are 197 sites currently on the IFMS system. And all those, maybe more, I don't know, less, but what we can add up from what engagements we have, we are around that. Then in 2007, when we started, I said we have a comprehensive local support till date, but we engaged in 2007. In 2011, there was an infrastructure upgrade. Mr. Semgoma had tried to define the history on that, which was basically halfway through. We had still HPUX, is an HP operating system. In 2007, we went for the converged engineered system. Now, as Mr. Semgoma mentioned, this is a high-value system. It's manufactured in Ireland. It's delivered here with all the OS and IPs, all the things you need delivered in country, the way you want it with everything. Now, all you do is just to integrate with your system. Now, it has been running for quite some years. And in 2011, when they said they wanted to re-implement, and there was also a DR option, we said, okay, what we have existing should be used for the DR. So it's still viable. And we get a new system with more power to run the new EBS suite, which is the upgraded version. Basically, we had challenges, as they highlighted. I will just summarize through. One of them was COVID. Delivery time was the problem. There were no ships to load this box. The airlines, the big airlines which were coming to Uganda were not there. So whereas we had it ready from factory to be shipped in April, it only arrived here in November last year. So it was a challenge. Basically, the pressure was building up, but we had to make sure that the system can go ahead. Go ahead. Yes. So why CBIL? Maybe that's the point. Some people, when we go on sites, people keep asking. Basically, we are in many government organizations, but I want to keep pointing out maybe three elements. We have more than 160 technical processes in Uganda itself. And these are meant to at least have their systems, whether in site, to provide support. We are not a 1 or 5 man company. There are many people involved, many teams involved. I have one of them, the General Manager, Strategic Accounts, Mr. Jimmy with me. He's a part of an account manager for Ministry of Finance as well. And also, we have been here for more than 30 years. We are proud of that also. And then when it comes to tax paying, we are at least ranked among the top 100 taxpayers in the country. So that's why we also have strategically. So we are obliged to provide what is due to Caesar very well, patiently. Next. So as I mentioned, we have our partnership is big. We have a high-skilled resource, and as well, he had shown you the V block, but all these actually are the technologies running in MOFPED currently. I mean, we have Cisco for the network, we have Checkpoint for the firewall, we had HPUX, which was our application, now it's going away. We have the Radware for the load balancer, we have the Glowat for the sites which are running solar sites. You know, this because of course, now Ministry of Finance also thought, why are you running umeme or generator in the sites? So now we have sites which are evolving to use solar power. And this is a good thing. I think the 7 sites which have run have become a good test that we can really have solar and be green. Recently, when they were doing the 15 sites, we had a challenge that when we reached on one site, people didn't have umeme. So they asked the engineers to pay for Yaka. They say, you guys have to pay for Yaka. You are the one bringing in the system. So I told them, my guy, how much is Yaka? 30,000. Okay, you do Yaka, then we shall negotiate. Another engineer was asked, please fuel the generator. There is no fuel in the generator. So they had to pay, I think, some 60 liters to run the generator, just to power up a router, and then they come back. So these are the challenges, but I think as we go to solar, basically those sites should be able to operate with basically reduce on the cost of operation of the UPS, having to have a UPS, having to run generators, that's the thing. So that's the Growat. And now we are on 19C of database. So we are almost on the highest version of the Oracle database, which we are running. Now, at first was a V block 350. Now we are in VX block 1000. which is the latest model, which is running in production. So I think by and by, we are on the right track. Then we have, CBIL is in multiple countries. In the whole of East Africa, we have presence in Kenya, and Uganda is the head office. So we are in Ethiopia, we are in Kenya, we are in Tanzania, we are in Rwanda, and well as the franchise in Dubai. So as international, we have international presence, and in all these sites, they are engineers, but Uganda becomes the head office. So again, we are proud to say that it's the company which has moved from Uganda to the rest of the countries. So we are selling our name as Ugandan. So it's a Ugandan-based local company, but it's expanded outside. And now there is a branch office which is opening up in India. Still skeleton, but we are just going to India. So next. So I mentioned that we have partnership with most of the AMs. We are a titanium partner on Daily MC. We are a platinum partner for Oracle. So whereas there is OCS happening, we also understand what happens in the Oracle. So if there is a big issue, we can sit on one table and challenge them. As he mentioned, Mr. Semgoma, that Ugandans, we can flex with the OCS, so we can also challenge them and say, this is what we are doing is wrong, it's not the right thing. Then on the HP side, we had the old HP stack, which has been decommissioned now, which we are moving out because of being archaic and on that. So we are still sub-partners, and we are Point Next, which is almost the highest level. In VMware, we are also enterprise partner, and in Cisco, we are advanced partner. As well, I didn't want to go into the details, the rest of the things, but key point is we are partners for all these. We don't just resell. We partner and do service delivery. Next. Then on the certification, as I said, all these are certification skills. If I mention almost, if you see Oracle takes most, we have 48 certified resources in the organization. And then we have HP, then we have Cisco and Dell. And these are the main things which are running the thing. So all the engineers are certified. If I look at the OPEX spent on certification, for this year, we already reached $30,000 just on training and certification from the company point of view. So we invest in the resources. Even Mr. Semgoma has hinted on it that investing in local resources is important. We invest locally in the local resources, and though after that they go, but it's an investment that we have done to them, and it helps us to do support for our customers and as well to bring results that we want. Next. So what are the challenges that we faced in this time as I summarized through? Cost increased. The dollar skyrocketed because of lack of factories were not producing, so whoever you were demanding something, production was not there. One of the things like memory chips was a problem. Cisco was giving delivery times of almost a 1-year period. So all those compounded. Then there was restricted movement. It was a big issue. We would be challenged. Oracle wouldn't come. The engineers from VC wouldn't come here in the country. There was COVID. So all that compounded were challenges in having to deploy the system. They delayed in delivery. Then we have another issue on another bit of site access. When our engineers go on site up country, those kiosks, especially, I can mention names, but let me reserve them for those sites. The person, he confirms in the morning. By the time the engineer reaches, the person says, no, I'm in Kampala. Then the guy either has to sleep there, and when you call him, if it's a Friday, you have a problem. So the engineer has to come back, because then he has to sleep there on the weekend, and the person arrives on Monday. That's also a big challenge. Then we had the unforeseen circumstances, bandwidth requirement. Yes, whereas the new system comes, but our laptops are growing. You have a laptop, at first it was only 4 GB, now you get it with 8 GB. So the more power it pulls from the network is bigger. It needs more resources. The system this side is enhanced. It's also requiring a lot of data. So the bandwidth becomes a challenge. So the site-to-site links were a challenge. Now that's why when the NITA came in, I think this is being handled, but we still have that challenge that sites may be slow just because of the inter-site bandwidth. Then the client-server software compatibilities. He mentioned it that we have laptops or users' PCs which are old in the sites. What happens when you have a new system? You may find the application may not run. You have to upgrade Internet Explorer. Then it may not take it up. So those are compatibilities that are coming up. Then the other thing is termites in sites. I don't know what happens, but not in sites. So we have had termites in sites. Recently, actually, we had a short circuit on one of the solar sites, and when the person went there, he found the anthill had come from outside and went inside and then ate through the wires, and basically, because the anthill usually has water, the ants have water, so then they shorted the socket. So the whole wire got burnt. So they had to replace. I think another site, they went and found that termites had almost entered through the router, crossed over the rack. So we have termites on site. Then, so then we have some sites basically have lack of power. That's being handled by the solar things. But even where we don't have solar, people are not willing to fuel the generators. They are not willing actually to fuel. It's as if the system, when there's a problem, they will complain. We send an engineer, you find the generator has no fuel. Then you wonder now who is who. So what's the problem here? Then, so this usually brings about many issues. Then we have site equipment failures, basically. As we mentioned, yes, MOFPED contracts us to look after all the sites where we have routers and switches. But once in a while, there are contracts where they are owned by, these equipment are owned by the sites themselves. So when they die, they say, since you are the IFMS support engineer people, you come. In one site, when they saw somebody with CBIL, they said, now you are the guys. Your IFMS system is not working. Carry the what? The router and take it. So we are faced in those two situations. Then we have to give a standby. If it's a big account, you find the big commissioner or the member of parliament is around, then it starts blaming. So they were only left with an option. One of the Minister of Finance guy will call and say, you know what, help us deliver a standby. Then we shall talk out later. So those issues come up. So what I was saying, lack of sense of responsibility, is that you wouldn't really have termites in sites. These are just, you need a few drugs to clear them up. By and by, the sites which we have, yes, the sites which we are supporting them very well. Those without support, we discuss internally and do support for them. As I conclude, I want to thank you for your time. We have had challenges. Mr. Semgoma has said about the issues which have happened, but I mentioned about the electricity issues, so that one I passed over it. I thank you for your support. MOF is our biggest clientele, and it's one thing we usually say, that we will do everything to make sure that the IFMS system comes up. There are some sites, some customers, you can say, okay, tomorrow they will not work. But when Semgoma calls me in the night at 1 a.m. saying that, you know what, we have a payment to go now, it has to go. We don't say now there is no router, we have to work out something. So, but thank you for your time, and we are committed to keep supporting you for the next phase we have gone in. Thank you.
Let's appreciate Sybil once again. Adrian, thank you so much. You've managed to keep within that time of 5 minutes with a few extra seconds. Next time we shall do better. Mr. P.S., you've been at finance for slightly over a year, but they imagine you've been here for about 3 years or more, meaning that what you've been able to deliver within this short time speaks volumes of your passion for this area of activity you are involved in. You came on the mantra of accountability with results, and there is every because to a large extent people are driven and are indeed delivering results. With that, Mr. P.S., I would like to invite you to make your remarks and invite the Honorable Minister